Hi, Dave Snyder here. It is still Friday the 13th, 2013. And I'm going to explain it like this. You got this moon, right? And let's just say it is 2,200 miles in diameter or whatever, right? Let's just say that. Okay, so you got the moon and you got all these craters that are big objects. It must have hit some pretty big objects. You got this crater right here. How big is this crater here? Let me see. It says it's like 400 miles in diameter or more, over 400 miles in diameter. And that's not actually the whole impact. The whole impact, that's just the center of the impact. The whole thing basically comes all the way out like this, right there. Right? They're all about that size I'm showing you right there. You can see the outer parts of these impacts right here. See how it goes all the way around right here. Let me turn this damn thing off here. Alright, you see how it goes around. This is actually just what's left. This is what you can see still. The rest of it's been covered, I do believe. Here's another one. You see the size of it. It's actually that big. And they all have like this center like this. You see that? Notice that? They all have like this center crater in the center. Except for a couple of them. A couple of them are not like that, actually. A couple of them are like this one, and then Mare Australis like that, sort of. Like a conglomerate of patterns. It's kind of strange, but they've probably been covered up too. But then you have the side that faces us, right? And you got a crater right there in front of your face on the moon that you see every time the moon is full or whatever. You see this big crater right here. It's 1/3 the size of the moon. Over that. Bigger than that, actually. Let's just say from there to there. Okay. I can't see without my glasses. 700 miles. It's about 700 miles in diameter. So it's a third of the moon. So some big object has hit our moon. You see this circle right here. It basically is about the same size as the other patterns I was showing you over here, like this. See this? Like this big circle. Maybe a little bit. These ones might be a little bigger, but. Anyways, this is the side that faces us now. These must be the most recent impacts. And I just wonder, when you got the moon right there with these big craters on the goddamn thing, and it's right there, what's your first place you're going to look? Where's the first place you're going to look? What's the closest object to the moon? You got to check the Earth. You got to check the Earth. What's the deal? Oh, but the moon is small, right? It's just 2,200 miles, but let's just say it is the size they say. Let's just play like that. Okay, so we check it out. We go to the Earth. We flip over a bunch of pictures of the moon, and we try to see if we can find patterns on the Earth from the moon. But if we do it at 2,200 miles, if we make the moon 2,200 miles in diameter and take it to the Earth, it's not going to really work very well, is it? Or everybody would already have done it. I'm sure a lot of people have done it. Done exactly what I'm talking about, and exactly what I've been doing all this time for like almost 3 years. But I'm sure people have done it for a lot longer than that. And you just wonder why they wouldn't tell you something. If the moon was bigger, why wouldn't they just tell you the moon was bigger? Because then they couldn't tell you that they walked on. It's a whole thing of controlling the information. They just control the information. They can't. Plus, they don't want to change the original information because it changes everything, and then it just discredits everything. They're better off just sticking to their story, I think. But it all comes down to the riches on Earth for sure, and it's been that way probably since the ancient Egyptians and the pharaohs and all them. They knew about it. And the Mayans knew about it. They all know about it, and our government knows about it. The Illuminati know about it. Okay, they know. But anyways, so you take like these patterns and you put them on the Earth. This is one I did earlier today. Let me just show you this one. Actually, I've showed you this one many times on the East Coast. I made a bunch of videos about it showing this East Coast impact. And let me just tell you something about the weather patterns that I line these craters up to. This East Coast shows some pretty detailed weather patterns. We know there's always some extreme weather going on there, at least, especially lately. Turn the weather on. You always got something going on over here. Look. Well, those are those are radar. Usually you have something going on here, some crazy pattern. Anyway, not today apparently. Not going to cooperate. But I've showed so many videos with this one impact, or a couple different ones actually in this one spot, but they both fit. And anyways, I saved a picture from the Wonder Map site of the radar. You know, the satellite picture of it. Let me just show you what that looks like. I'll find it. I think it's right here actually. Okay, so this is the picture of that area, and it's not overlaid in that. You see, this is the Atlantic up here, but this is, I just overlaid it in the Pacific just so I can work on it. But if you look at this picture, this is the North Atlantic Ocean. Here you got Africa, Spain, Portugal right there, and then you got the east coast of North America. And you just take a look at this pattern up here, people, and just kind of stand back, look at the whole big picture, the whole big Atlantic Ocean, and look at its shape, and look at the center of it right here. There's another circle right in the center. See, that's why it's good to go to a different source for your pictures. I mean, I've done pretty good with Google Earth, but it definitely leaves a lot out. So it's good to get other pictures from other. And it's the weather you're trying to look at, because the weather shows you the prints of the moon impacts. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I mean, like I said, you got the moon. It's been impacted. You can see the impacts. And then you got the moon always facing us the same way. Then you got, you got the Earth here. And if you look at the Earth, it's got big circles all over it too. I wonder. Wow. That's kind of hard to put together, those two objects. They're like right there. I mean, come on. Think about that. Is it really that difficult? I mean, it's not. I know it's impossible. You've been taught, maybe you've been taught that it's impossible against the science. It's against the laws of gravity, or against some kind of law or whatever. Maybe it is. But who created those laws? It wasn't, I'm just saying. Look at this pattern right here. So I brought up the Mare Oriental. I already had this up actually, the Mare Oriental Basin right up here somewhere. I get pretty far ahead of myself sometimes, especially when I don't title anything. There it is right here. Okay, so first I just lined up this area. Let's just zoom in on that area here. I see that shape right there. Okay. Basically lined it up to that. I was hoping it goes with that right there. I'm pretty sure it does, because when you back off the picture, you can see the curve in the weather and the radar. Hold on. See that curve up there too? Curves through the center of North America. Then you can see the same, sort of see that same curve right here. Okay, well then check this out. You get this like this, and you see this stuff line up just like this. Watch. See these lines that come out the side right here? And you just got to say, what the fuck? The reason why I make these videos, basically, not really as much to point this out, and I'm not trying to, tell everybody the moon's going to hit the Earth. It may hit the Earth someday. I have no idea really for sure what's going to happen. I can tell you that from what I've gathered, it's going to be the end of the 30th century, and I've gathered that from a couple places. Like our magnetic field they say will only last till the end of the millennium or whatever, So and then I hear the end of the 30th century. But they also say that something's going to change in the 25th century. Something will change the name of something. Something's name will change, and I saw that on Sailor Moon. Okay, I just noticed it the other day actually. And it may mean nothing, but I'm pretty sure it means something. Like, we'll change the name from from Moon to Planet X or something, Or it's Nemesis, actually. The Moon is Earth's nemesis. The destroyer. Apollon, the destroyer. That's what Apollo means. Destroyer. Apollo, whatever, the Apollo missions, which weren't even real. I mean, they didn't. Maybe they were missions, but they never landed on the moon. That's why this is so. You know, you start to see this and you just go, okay, that's bullshit. Okay, that's bullshit. Because you see these things all over the Earth, all the time in the weather, and they line right up every time. And then you see the pattern all over the Earth, the big circles all over. Look at that one right there. See that? Right there. That's an impact. That's Siberia. They say 250 million years ago, an eruption started. It was a swampy area. Then all of a sudden, it became volcanic and erupted for 1,000,000 years. 1,000,000 years. Okay, what would it take to make something erupt for 1,000,000 years? Fucking moon impacting the Earth. Something, because there's the big print right there. See it? See the circular shape? And it's the same size, people, as all of the other ones. Like this. I don't know, it's about the same size. What's that, 25? You know, it's like you come from here and you go to there and whoa, 27. You know, go from here, you go to about there and you say 23 or what, it's like 27 too, I'm pretty sure. Yep. See, they're all about the same size. Antarctica, bam, same size. See that? 27. Direct. That's like the direct impact of this is like the exact shape of Mare Oriental crater on the moon. So that crater on the moon is actually this size, right here. Not the 500 miles or whatever 300 miles it said when we looked at it earlier in the beginning of the video. It's actually just the crater is actually this big, or somewhere around this size. Maybe not exactly this big, but it's close. Schrodinger crater on the moon, they say, is 200 miles in diameter, but on the Earth, I find it at 1,000 to 1,200 miles in diameter, which is what, 5 to 6 times the size they say it is. You know, most of the time I see it though, it's in the weather, so it's going to be maybe a little bit bigger than it is on the land, right? I think it is more like 1,000 because when I put it in South Africa and it fits so perfectly down here, I'm not lining it up to the weather at all in South Africa because there's hardly ever any weather there. But you got the moon shaping everything on the planet, creating all these oceans and the continents, everything. I think the continents basically come up from the volcanic eruption after the moon hits the Earth, and if it hits in the middle of the ocean, or I don't know. That's a lot to figure. There's a lot to figure out. But basically, I'm trying to make a video to show you what you need to do. You need to pay attention to the weather patterns on the Earth. Recognize big circular shapes. Look for those. Look for good radar patterns with nice lines nice lines with curves, because those are the ones that you're going to be able to line up with the lunar surface. Okay? Basically, the weather, is the key. The weather is the key. The satellite images. Can you imagine how it was before they had satellites? And they had to probably only knew of a couple of places on the Earth where the moon had hit. But they knew. They knew then. It's been known forever. Okay, it's been known forever, but it just, are you gonna tell your kids, oh yeah, someday, honey, the moon's gonna hit the Earth, so just, don't worry about it, because it's just gonna, you don't do that. You say, the moon is our friend and everything like that. It is our friend at this time in this stage of its cycle. It's our friend, but I think it has a cycle that doesn't always make it friendly. It is Earth's nemesis. The moon is Earth's nemesis. And once you start to look at the pictures of the Earth and the circular shapes, and then you look at the moon and its circular shapes, and then you realize, duh, it's always facing this the same way. How could that be? That's the only thing that could be is magnetism. That part is there's no gravity to that part. Gravity keeps it in orbit or whatever. You can say whatever you want. I'm not a professional on gravity, but the part where it faces us the same way all the time, it can only be magnetism. That part of it has to be magnetism. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That part has to be where it holds it right there at that one spot. That can only be magnetism. Nothing else. Nothing else. So that made me think, well, everyone's talking about pole shift, pole reversal. They say it's happened on the Earth many times before. The poles have reversed on the Earth. They got evidence of it, okay? Well, think about it. You got two magnets, and what happens when you got two like poles? Well, they push each other apart to a certain extent, and then they stop. Basically, they still have kind of a magnetic push-pull thing with two alike poles. But if you have opposite poles attract. So if one of the poles switch on either the moon or the Earth, they're so close, I guess, they hit each other. But they're not like going head-on with each other. They're probably both still going around the sun the same direction in their orbit when they hit. You know, they're not, one's following the other or something. I don't know. Maybe they do hit head-on. Who knows? Somebody does. Japanese probably do. But there it is. Look at that big sucker right there. Wow. It's amazing how often it can be pointed out. I mean, I've been doing this for years now, and I've seen it in so many different ways, so clearly, so many times, that I have no doubt that if the pictures are real, that's what happened. I mean, that's the only thing that could have happened, is if these pictures are real, it's hit the Earth a bunch of times. And then you think about it, the Grand Canyon, the layers, you got ocean floor at the top of the Himalayas and the Alps, and you know, they used to be, it's limestone that used to be on the ocean floor, but now it's 2,000 feet up in the air, and you just, you know, and everybody says, oh, slowly over time. And then you watch a documentary where they say, well, the Earth was going through violent tectonic forces at the time, and you think, well, what were those? Why was it going through violent tectonic forces at that time? Because I've never seen any super violent tectonic forces that would do that in my life. So, you know, you just have to. They never tell you. They run you around in circles on documentaries about the Earth. It's, you know, they think the dinosaurs were killed by some little meteor that hit at the Yucatan Peninsula, which is a joke, complete joke. That's definitely okay. The dinosaurs, most of them are buried in rock, and I know they say it's been 65 million years, but come on, they're buried. They're fossils in rocks, completely buried. What buried them over the 65 million years? Just dust and stuff, volcanoes that happened right by them or something? No. There was big floods on the Earth, and there was big everything on the Earth. When the moon hits the Earth, there's big. It just basically destroys most of life. Not all, I don't think. I think something survives. I think some things survive, and it definitely creates the ice ages, and it stops the Earth from spinning, you know, at the same rotation, and slows it down or whatever. Creates the ice ages, all of it. So without this part in your history, your Earth history, I can't see how you could have it right. And it just frustrates me every time I watch a documentary or somebody start talking about how the dinosaurs were killed by this, and how plate tectonics pushes up the mountains. And maybe they are still pushing up the mountains very slowly, but they weren't created slowly like that. They had to be pushed. And I've seen I've seen everything in the weather. The weather shows so much. Just really pay attention to it. And then sometimes I think, man, you know what? Everybody probably already knows this. I'm fucking just now getting it. You know, and I kind of think that sometimes. I think everybody already knows it. They just don't want to talk about it. Because it's not a, popular it's not a very cheerful subject, I guess. But, it's not going to happen for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. I'm sure things will change ahead of that, but I mean, hundreds of years. Just tell your grandkids not to have any kids, around that, right before that or something. Tell their kids not to have any kids right around that time, or to have a whole bunch, because you want to keep the humanity going, or figure out a way to get off the planet. I don't know, but I'm just telling you. I don't see how you could have it right. You can follow science's laws and rules or whatever, but common sense seems to be the best bet. I think. Absolutely. You can think that's not that. You can think whatever you want. Just try it yourself. Not that hard to do. And you'll find so many things along the way. I mean, this list is very long. It's actually longer than it looks. And this stuff at the beginning is funny. But once I get down to about, I don't know, somewhere before halfway probably, I start to catch on. And once I started catching on, it was not that hard to do. Everything would just fall into place every time. I'd take one thing and I'd say, "Oh wow, I wonder about this," because last time I did that, it kind of fit there. So put this with that and this with that, and I was rolling. And now it's just pretty easy. I just see the shapes and the weather, and I just put it there. So do it if you care. No, I'm just kidding. Do it if you care. Tell your kids to build a nice big fleet of space shuttles to get us all out of here. Tell them to be real smart. Don't go to public school. No, you can't get smart at public schools anymore. Well, maybe some. Not in California. None of them in California, I think. But anyways, long enough. Enough rambling. That's my rant for the day. Have a good day.